June 17th, 2016. I'd like to address the controversy that's been going on in the last 24 hours about whether or not Obama was directly responsible for the mess we now face in the Middle East. He is not directly responsible. He is responsible, though. And it's not because he intended it. I really do not believe in the conspiracy theory that he actually planned this. It was a mistake. He made a few disastrous mistakes, but he made them. And every president does. George Bush made a mistake. He lost the peace. He did get the war relatively over, the hard part of the war over real quick. It was the peace that we lost. And for that, he deserves the blame. However, we had Libya and Syria falling apart, and we chose Libya. I do not know why. Syria was always more of a danger to our interest in the region than Libya ever was. You had Turkey. Through Turkey, you had Europe. You had the Persian Gulf states a few hundred miles away. You had Iraq, who had an actual border and had our troops over there. You had Israel, Jordan, all of which at least were allies. They may not have been the best of allies, but they all were allies. Now, that is his first mistake. He should have dealt with it when it was a minor little brush fire. And what I mean by that is, no, we shouldn't have went in to deal with the Civil War ourselves. I wasn't for that. However, there were moderates at the time. Yes, they were not the best moderates we could possibly hope for, but they were better than those cutting people's heads off. And we did nothing. Now, Bush did agree to a withdrawal. And that was by 2011. And we stretched it to 2014. That Obama did do. And we tried to extend it beyond that, but Maliki refused to let Iraq be... in other words, the troops would have to live under Iraqi law. And not even I would have gone for that. So I do understand why he dropped the discussion after that. However, Syria was not a problem at that time. It became a mess, and he should have went back to talk to Maliki, explain the situation, and see if they could come to some sort of agreement. We didn't need all the troops to stay. We did need somebody to keep the border protected. Syria was no longer able to protect its border. It couldn't even reach the border. And Iraq was still not really capable of policing their own border. What we should have done, at the very least, was possibly create a buffer zone with Iraq's agreement and get this taken care of until Syria became less of a problem. Instead, we removed all of our troops, and Iraq ended up being basically overrun by the problem in Syria. Now we have two countries that were two countries, and now basically it's just a mess. There are four distinct countries in the region. Obviously, Kurdistan is one of them because by any reckoning, Iraq does not exist anymore. You can pretend that it does, but really it doesn't. So we got Kurdistan, we have the semblance of Iraq, the semblance of Syria, and we have the Islamic State. The only thing we don't know yet is where the borders are going to end up. That is what we're waiting for. Now, this was a relatively small brush fire in Syria, but we didn't do it. We didn't deal with it when it was small, and we made it worse by removing the troops. That is how the problem got worse. Now, I will agree to you. He did not create the Middle East problem. And neither did Bush, amazingly enough. You would have to go back to 1096, Pope Urban II, who used the excuse of the Crusades to create a power base in Europe for his ideal of a country, the Holy Roman Empire. He did that. For 900 years, we created the anger that we are now facing today. But yes, America itself is not responsible for what happened. But we need to quit saying to the Middle East that that was then, this is now. Okay, because you're basically agreeing that you don't want to discuss your own culpability in the mess. And I'm sorry, we do have some. We've all contributed to this mess. And we need to quit being hypocritical, and we need to quit being condescending, and we need, at the very least, to have a little bit of humility when dealing with other countries in the Middle East and understand why they have a problem with us. And until we do, this will not get better. But we cannot wait in this situation. It is bad. It is getting worse. And unfortunately, we're stuck until Obama leaves office. But it needs to get dealt with, and soon. This is a major crisis. This is not something that can be dealt with over centuries, okay? Eventually, we will have to deal with the problem, but not when ISIS is a problem, not with the Islamic State. Thank you. Bye.